Okay, let's see a deep dive into 2 Samuel chapter 19.
Right. So the big rebellion, Absalom's rebellion, it's over.
The battle's won, technically, but wow, the aftermath is messy.
Yeah, messy's a good word. You've got this military victory, but King David is just crushed by grief over Absalom's death, his son, the rebel leader.
And that grief completely overshadows everything. It creates this incredibly tense situation politically, personally, right when David should be, consolidating his return to power.
Exactly. It's victory turned into mourning. The soldiers who just risked everything, saved his life, saved the kingdom, they come back expecting, well, something positive.
And instead, they find the king basically hiding, weeping for the guy they just defeated.
The text says the victory was turned into mourning because the troops heard the king is grieving for his son.
It's powerful imagery. They don't march back heroes. They stole into the city as men steal in who are ashamed when they flee from battle. Like they did something wrong by winning.
Imagine that feeling. And David's grief isn't quiet. He's got his face covered, crying out loud, "Oh, my son Absalom. Oh, Absalom, my son, my son." It's raw. It's public. And it ignores the political reality completely.
Which is where Joab comes in, David's commander. Not exactly known for gentle diplomacy.
No, not at all. He goes right into the house, straight to the king.
And he just lets him have it. I mean, this confrontation is stunning.
It really is. Joab basically says, "You've humiliated every single man who just saved your life, your family's lives."
He doesn't hold back.
He accuses David point blank. "You love those who hate you and hate those who love you." Oof.
Talk about brutal honesty. He says David's made it clear his commanders, his soldiers, mean nothing. That he'd actually be happier if Absalom was alive and the loyal army was dead.
Can you imagine saying that to your king? Especially right after winning a war for him.
It speaks volumes about Joab's position, right? And maybe David's state. Joab feels he has to say this.
And he gives him an ultimatum. Not just advice, a threat. The serious one. "Now go out and encourage your men. I swear by the Lord that if you don't go out, not a man will be left with you by nightfall."
Wow.
He adds, "This will be worse for you than all the calamities that have come upon you from your youth till now." Basically, get it together, your majesty, or you lose everything.
What does this tell you about, the power dynamics between a leader and maybe his most crucial advisor, especially in a crisis like this?
It shows how dependent even a king can be. Joab knows David needs the army, needs him, and he leverages that, maybe for the good of the kingdom, maybe partly his own standing, but he forces David to act.
And David, he listens. He gets up, goes to the city gateway, the public space.
Right, the place for official business.
Yeah.
And when the men hear he's there, they gather. It's a necessary first step back into his role.
But the text mentions, kind of quietly, that the other Israelites, the ones who fought for Absalom, had already fled to their homes.
Yeah, that's key. The northern tribes are scattered.
Yeah.
The kingdom isn't just magically back together. This sets up the next big challenge.
So while David's dealing with Joab and trying to, rally his immediate troops, what's happening elsewhere?
Well, the text says, throughout the tribes of Israel, the people were all arguing with each other. There's confusion, debate.
What are they arguing about?
It's fascinating. They're saying, okay, David saved us before from the Philistines and stuff, but he fled because of Absalom.
And Absalom, the guy we anointed, he's dead now.
Exactly. So the question becomes, well, why isn't anyone talking about bringing David back? It suggests there's division, maybe some hesitation. Not everyone is automatically on board.
So how does David handle this? It's a delicate political situation.
He's clever. He doesn't, broadcast a general appeal. He sends a very specific message through the priests, Zadok and Abiathar.
To whom?
To the elders of Judah, his own tribe.
Playing in the home field advantage.
Totally. He hits them right where they live. "Why should you be the last to bring the king back? You're my brothers, my own flesh and blood." It's a direct appeal to kinship, to loyalty.
Smart. But he does something else too, right? Something huge.
Oh yeah, this is the big one. He tells the priests to make an offer to Amasa.
Amasa. Wait, wasn't he Absalom's commander, the guy leading the rebel army?
The very same. And he's also David's nephew, which adds another layer. David instructs the priest to tell Amasa, "Look, you're my flesh and blood too. I swear to God, you will be the commander of my army from now on instead of Joab."
Whoa. Okay, hold on. He's firing Joab, the guy who just saved him, albeit bluntly, and replacing him with the general of the rebellion.
Sealed with an oath, yes.
What is that about? Is it just getting back at Joab for killing Absalom or for that harsh rebuke? Or is it pure politics?
It's probably Well, it's likely a mix of all of the above, isn't it? It's a massive signal to everyone who sided with Absalom, especially in Judah, where Amasa was influential. Come back, I'm bringing your guy into the inner circle. It prioritizes reconciliation, maybe, over rewarding loyalty. It's a huge gamble.
And how does Judah react to this whole package, the kinship appeal plus the Amasa promotion?
It works, like a charm. The text says David won over the hearts of all the men of Judah as though they were one man. They immediately send word, come back.
So Judah is secured. David starts heading towards the Jordan River to cross back over, and Judah comes to Gilgal to escort him. This crossing point seems like a really important stage.
It absolutely is. Becomes the setting for these really interesting individual encounters. Each one tells us something different about the situation.
Okay, who's first?
Shimei, son of Jerah, remember him?
Oh, yeah, the Benjamite from Saul's clan, the one who cursed David, threw rocks and dirt at him when David was fleeing Jerusalem. He was nasty.
That's the one. Well, now he comes rushing down to the Jordan, brings 1,000 men from Benjamin with him, falls flat on his face before David.
Right, the turnaround.
He begs forgiveness, says, don't hold it against me, my lord. Forget what I did. I know I sinned. He even tries to spin it positively. Look, I'm the first one from all the northern tribes, the house of Joseph, to come welcome you back.
Smooth? Or maybe just desperate. How does David's crew react? Let me guess. Abishai wants his head.
You guessed it. Abishai, Joab's brother, always ready for action. He says, shouldn't Shimei be put to death for cursing the Lord's anointed? I mean, by the law, that was a capital offense.
Makes sense from his perspective. But David?
David shuts Abishai down, hard. What do you and I have in common, you sons of Zeruiah? He calls them adversaries on this day. He says, should anyone be put to death in Israel today? Don't I know I'm king over Israel again?
So he connects his return, his kingship, with mercy.
Exactly. He declares a kind of amnesty for the day, and he specifically swears an oath to Shimei, you will not die.
Why? Is David just feeling generous? Or is this another calculated political move? Pardoning a prominent Benjamite enemy on day one sends a message, right?
It has to be partly strategic, doesn't it? Shimei came with 1,000 men. Pardoning him signals to all former opponents, especially from Saul's tribe in the north, that there might be a path back. It projects magnanimity, unity. It's smart politics, even if there's genuine relief or mercy mixed in. It's certainly not the vengeance someone like Abishai expects.
Okay, Shimei gets a pass. Who's next at the Jordan?
Mephibosheth, Saul's grandson, Jonathan's son, the one David had shown kindness to earlier, giving him a place at the royal table.
Right. And his appearance is striking, the text says?
Yeah, he hadn't washed his clothes or trimmed his mustache or even taken care of his feet since David left. He looks like someone who's been in deep mourning or distress the whole time.
And David asks him the key question. Why didn't you go with me, Mephibosheth? Because remember, Ziba, his servant, had told David that Mephibosheth stayed behind hoping the kingdom would revert to Saul's house.
Exactly. So Mephibosheth tells his side. He says, my servant Ziba deceived me. He slandered me to you. I wanted to come, but I'm lame, and he took the donkey I needed. He basically throws himself on David's mercy, calls him like an angel of God, says David already spared his life when his whole family could have been killed.
So you have Ziba's story from before, which painted Mephibosheth as disloyal, but got Ziba rewarded. And now Mephibosheth's story, painting Ziba as the liar. David's got conflicting accounts. What does he decide?
His decision is, well, it's brief and maybe a bit unsatisfying. He just says, why say more? I order you and Ziba to divide the fields.
Divide the fields. So he doesn't fully exonerate Mephibosheth or fully condemn Ziba. He splits the property he'd previously given to Mephibosheth and then later promised to Ziba. What do we make of that?
It's ambiguous, isn't it? Is he trying to be pragmatic? Does he just not know who to believe? Is he trying to keep both sides somewhat content or somewhat discontent? Maybe he doesn't want to completely reverse his field decision made under duress.
And Mephibosheth's response is interesting, too.
Very. He says, let him take everything now that my lord the king has returned home safely. Almost like, the property doesn't matter, your return is what counts. Which again could be genuine relief or a final attempt to prove his loyalty. This whole episode really shows how murky things get after conflict, who was loyal, who betrayed whom.
Yeah, truth is hard to pin down there. Okay, one more key encounter at the Jordan.
Yes, Barzillai the Gileadite.
Ah, the loyal supporter. The wealthy old man, 80 years old, who provided for David and his whole camp when they were fugitives over in Mahanaim.
That's him, a true friend in need. And David wants to repay him. He says, cross the Jordan with me, come live in Jerusalem, I'll take care of you. It's a generous offer, a place of honor at court.
But Barzillai says no.
He does. And his reasoning is quite moving. He says, I'm 80 years old. How much longer do I have? I can't taste food or drink anymore. Can't enjoy music. Why should I be a burden to the king?
There's a real wisdom in that, isn't there? Knowing your limits, knowing what actually matters to you at that stage of life.
Absolutely. He just wants to go back home, he says, to die in my own town near the tomb of my father and mother. Simple dignity.
But he doesn't just refuse. He suggests something else.
Right. He offers his servant, Kimham. Let Kimham cross over with the king. Do for him whatever you think is good. He's essentially passing on the offered reward to the next generation, or at least to his household.
And David accepts.
He does. He promises to take Kimham and provide for him, and basically tells Barzillai he'll do anything else he asks. They have this warm farewell. David kisses and blesses him. Barzillai goes home. Kimham crosses with David.
It's a really different kind of interaction compared to Shimei and Mephibosheth. Pure loyalty, graciously offered, graciously received and acknowledged. It's quite poignant.
It really is a moment of genuine connection amidst all the political maneuvering.
So David gets across the Jordan. He's dealt with these individuals. He's back. Is it smooth sailing now?
Not quite. The political tensions haven't gone away. They flare up almost immediately.
What happens?
The text says, all the troops of Judah and half the troops of Israel escorted David. And right away, the men of Israel, the northern tribes, confront the men of Judah.
About what?
They demand, why did our brothers, the men of Judah, steal the king away? They accuse Judah of acting alone, bringing David back without consulting the other tribes.
How does Judah respond?
They fall back on kinship. We did this because the king is closely related to us. They also deny taking any loot or favors. Basically, he's our guy and we didn't profit from it.
But Israel doesn't accept that.
Not at all. They come back strong. We have 10 shares in the king, a greater claim on David than you have. They're pulling out the numbers 10 tribes versus 1.
Yeah.
And they accuse Judah of showing them contempt, pointing out they were the first ones talking about bringing the king back anyway.
This sounds like more than just an argument about logistics. This feels deeper.
Oh, it is. It's about power, representation, tribal pride. Who really owns the king? Who gets precedence? It lays bare that fundamental fault line in the kingdom between Judah in the south and the northern tribes of Israel.
And how does it end? Does David step in?
The text just notes that the men of Judah responded even more harshly than the men of Israel. So the argument escalates. Right at the moment of supposed unity and restoration, you have this bitter dispute.
Wow. It's a stark reminder that bringing the king back doesn't magically fix the underlying divisions. In fact, it might even sharpen them.
Exactly. It's a powerful foreshadowing of the split that will eventually happen after Solomon's reign. The seeds are right there.
So, wrapping up this chapter, 2 Samuel 19, it's been quite a journey. We saw David pulled from intense personal grief by Joab's harsh reality check.
Then his really shrewd political moves focusing on Judah making that controversial deal with Amasa.
Followed by those complex encounters at the Jordan. Shimei's pardon, Mephibosheth's ambiguous case, Barzillai's touching loyalty. Each one a mini-drama about navigating the return.
And it all culminates not in perfect harmony, but in that immediate flare-up of tribal rivalry between Israel and Judah. Personal feelings, political strategy, old loyalties, deep divisions, it's all woven together.
It really makes you think about leadership after conflict, doesn't it? The balancing act required. So here's something to chew on. David made several calculated, maybe even risky choices in this chapter, forgiving Shimei, promoting Amasa, the judgment on Mephibosheth, relying heavily on Judah first. How might these specific actions, intended perhaps to unify or consolidate power, actually play out down the line? Could his efforts to manage the present inadvertently deepen the cracks that lead to future fractures in the kingdom? It really shows the complexity of reconciliation and governing diverse groups.